I remember when I was younger, I used to have to always take the school bus to get to school. I had to wake up at the same time, go the same way. Everything was routine, right? So I remember when I was in high school, I had to go to take the bus, right? And the way that I had to go take the bus, I had to walk through this like patch of desert. And I was one of those kids where you could not pay me enough to keep my head up while I walked. My head was glued to the ground, right? So as I'm walking, I come across this key, and it's about like yay big, right? And I'm not gonna lie, look old as hell. So I pick it up and I take it because that's what any kid would do. As I'm at school, I'm showing my friends, we're all trying to figure out what the key opens up. We have all these little conspiracy theories. We're like, what if it opens up like a door to a car, and in the car it's like another universe, right? At the end of the day, we didn't figure it out, of course. So I go home, and as I'm home, my mom asks me out of the blue. She's like, hey, do you want to go to the post office with me? And I was hesitant because I was like, she never asks me to go to the post office with her because the post office is like, I could walk to the post office, right? So I was like reluctant, and she was like, yeah, I just have a package to drop off, and then we could just leave and get something to eat, right? So I was like, okay, yay, I'm about to get a little treat after, right? We go to the post office, my mom drops the package off. She didn't have no fucking magic. Anyways, she drops the package off, right? And we sitting in the car, and I'm like ready to go, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, what's wrong? And she takes this as the time to set me up. She sets me up, right? And she's like, hey, I'm missing some money, and it's the same amount of money as it is one of your prom tickets. She was like, did you steal from me to get your date a prom ticket? And she was like, I'm not mad if you did. I'm not mad if you did. I'm not mad if you did. But I didn't. Of course I didn't. I would never steal money from my mom. I take a purse. I take a wig. I take bobby pins before I take money. You know what I mean? So I'm telling my mom. I'm like, I'm very honest. I'm like, no, I didn't take it. She doesn't believe me. We keep going back and forth. It becomes an argument. And so then she's like, I'm gonna just leave you here. I'm gonna leave you here. Fuck that. I'm gonna leave you here. And I was like, no need to fuck it. I'm gonna leave. You know what I mean? So I got out the car. She skirted off and left me there, right? She did come back, but listen. So as she skirted off, I'm walking towards the post office, and I literally just go where the P.O. boxes are, and I just sit there and I fucking cry. Because I'm like, I cannot believe my mother did not fucking believe me when I told her the goddamn truth. So as I'm sitting there and I'm crying, there wasn't hardly anybody in the post. I don't think there was really anybody in the post office besides the workers. So as I'm sitting there, the thought occurs to me, and I was like, maybe this is like a mailbox key, right? I still have the key on me. And so I get up, and I'm like just trying to distract myself, trying to make myself feel better after I just got into it with my mom. So I then proceed to put the key into like damn near all these mailboxes, and I'm like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So eventually I put the key in one of the mailboxes, and it clicks. And fuck, look at all this. It opened up, and there was a few pieces of paper. So I open up the mailbox, and as I open it, I notice there's a couple pieces of paper inside. One of them says vacant, and there's another letter that's addressed to somebody named Samuel. So I open the letter up because now this is my business. Now I'm intrigued. I'm very invested. So as I open up the letter, it's never been opened before, so I'm the only one that's opened it. And as I open up the letter, it says, hey Samuel, sorry I missed you. And in parentheses it said literally. Like, as in they literally missed them physically and probably maybe emotionally, right? So as I'm reading this letter, it's from a person named Madeline. So Madeline was saying in the letter, I'm sorry for what happened to your brother. I loved him dearly. I loved him a lot. I loved him with every last breath that I had. And that Madeline was the one to push him to commit, right? So Madeline was blaming themselves. Madeline was like, it's all my fault that this happened. Like, it wouldn't have happened if I just wasn't in the picture. It wouldn't have happened if I loved him more. It wouldn't have happened if I just was a better person, right? And so as I'm reading this, I'm just like, dang, this fucking sucks, right? And as I'm reading and I'm getting further down into the letter, I've noticed there's like tear marks on the paper. Like it's crinkled where little water droplets have hit, right? Because it's getting to a point where I'm assuming Madeline can't really write this without tearing up and crying still. So Madeline ended the letter with, if there's any way you could maybe forgive me or want to get coffee, whatever the letter said, coffee, lunch, whatever, so that they could talk about it. And I'm assuming Samuel never fucking got the letter because I was the first one to open it. and the mailbox was vacant. So Samuel never got that letter. Madeline never got forgiven. So as I'm in the post office, I literally get out of the post office, and now I'm ready to go home because now I'm in the bad mood reading that letter. And as I'm walking home, my mom pulls back up and she's like, Monet, get in this car. And I'm walking around and I'm like, no. And I walk real fast. So my mom's like, Monet, get in this goddamn car. So I get in the car. My mom apologizes to me and she says, I know you didn't take the money. She was just really stressed, like stressed out, missing a couple $100. Like, I would be stressed too. So she apologized and she was like, I know it wasn't you, blah, 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 blah. Like, she just really wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I was like, I understand, but like, when I'm telling you the truth, that's exactly what it is, and that's what it'll be. Follow me on Instagram, I'm real cute. Real thick. When I was in elementary school, there was this girl named Emily, and I'm using her government name this time. So Emily, in my head, I thought she was so cool. She had style. She was just lit. But when I'm reflecting back, bitch, she was a bitch. She was a bitch. She was mean. She didn't like anybody. And she only hung out with like the other mean girls who were not even popular. How are you gonna be mean? You're not even popular. Anyways, fast forward a couple years, I'm in the 5th grade and it's the summer going into the 6th grade. So if y'all didn't know, I'm an apartment kid. We grew up in the apartments and y'all, we was bad as fuck. Everybody in the apartments was bad. Anyways, so one day Emily moves in, right? And she is so excited and happy to be there to see me because it's been a while since I've seen anybody from that school. And so Emily has a brand new black scent to match her brand new personality, right? So I immediately started hanging out with her because I was the only option for her, if I'm being honest. So as we're hanging out, Emily's teaching me how to like lie to my mom, steal from my mom. She's like teaching me I need to wear things that are more sexy because that's what boys liked, and how she would like make fun of me as well. And I just didn't register that this was not a cool bitch, you know what I mean? Like, it just did not click with me yet. Okay, so me and Emily were just best friends, right? And I remember I invited her to my house one day so she could help me steal from my mom or whatever when my mom wasn't there. So she comes in and she looks at the baby pictures that are up on the wall like any normal person would. And she sees my brother. And if y'all didn't know, I have 2 of them. She sees one of my brothers hooked up to all of these machines in one of his baby pictures. He's hooked up to a breathing thing. He's got wires coming out of him. And quite frankly, I'm not even gonna lie, he did look like he was dying in the picture, but he's alive and well. So Emily looks at this and she's like in complete disgust on her face. She's like, what is this? And I was like, oh, that's my brother. And she knows him. We would all hang out with each other and hang out and play and just do whatever, right? And she was like, what? Is he okay? And I tell her, I was like, yeah, like, what do you mean? And she was like, what the fuck even is this? What's wrong with him? And I was like, whoa, well, nothing's wrong with him. He was just born premature, and that's why he is hooked up to all this machinery. See, my mom taught me to just educate others when it comes to things that they don't know or understand. So that's what I was doing, bitch. So Emily just did not like this, right? So at the end of the day, we're having a good time until Emily made it not a good time. She went around the apartment complex telling everybody that my brother was stupid, dumb, and slow and to not hang out. Emily going around telling everybody my brother is stupid, and the bitch even had the nerve to wait like 3 days after the fact, right? And she does it behind my back, of course, because she was just talking shit about every single person there behind their backs to me. So why wouldn't she do that to me? And I had to find out through other people that she was going around doing this, right? So then I remember I was talking to my mom about this, and I was like, I cannot believe this was like my first like friend betrayal, because I was like, this has never been a problem from anybody that's ever asked or inquired, right? And so I remember I was talking to my mom about this, and she's like trying to give her input. But then I remember I heard the front door open. It was my oldest brother who came in, and I hid in the closet, and it was like a sitcom moment. I just wanted to be dramatic and jump out and scare him originally, right? And so my brother goes and tells my mom, he's like, hey mom, there's this little kid in the apartment complex telling everybody that my brother's dumb and this, that, and the other, and how it was my fault, because that's what the girl was telling everybody, that these were my thoughts as well. And my oldest brother was like, yeah, you need to like do something about it, blah blah blah. My oldest brother obviously wasn't gonna press no little kid, but I'm not saying he couldn't, I'm just saying he didn't. Okay, so I hear all of this being in the closet, and I just start breaking down crying because I didn't really realize how bad it was getting. So then I sucked up all my tears after my brother had left, and I get out of the closet. My mom's just like lost the words. So I go outside and I'm looking for Emily. I'm fucking looking for Emily now. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go up to Emily, I find her, and I'm like, why are you talking shit? And she's like, oh no, but it's true. She's like, it's true though. And so I'm looking at her, and you guys, it takes a lot to get me to want to fight. But for whatever reason, not even this, I didn't hit her because for whatever reason I didn't want to get in trouble, this, that, and the other, and I've never at that point had been in a fight before outside of my siblings. And oh my god, she just pissed me off so bad, and I just remember cussing her out, being a fucking bitch. I didn't even fucking fight her, cussing her out and not talking to her anymore, and telling all the kids that she's told that wasn't true. And I actually had to go talk to those kids' parents because they clearly didn't understand what the fuck was really going on, because this was kind of serious, right? So everything got sorted out for the most part. There were still kids who were being dickheads and who didn't want to play with my brother. But that's neither here nor there. But maybe a couple months later, my girl Jasmine, my new best friend Jasmine at the time, she went and she beat the fuck out of Emily, and she moved after that. So I was recently having a conversation with my mom because I had a memory come back to me, and I couldn't remember if it was real or if it was just a dream. So in the memory, I remember literally randomly going up to my front door and just standing there and like looking up and waiting for somebody to open up the door. So my mom then gets up out of nowhere without any shoes on, without any like nothing on. She just got up barefoot and didn't even look at me, didn't speak to me. It was weird. And when she picked me up, she did not feel like my mom. I'm not even gonna lie. It felt very odd because she normally doesn't do that. So we walk out, she picks me up and we walk outside, and we're standing in the driveway. And I thought that was so odd because I was like, why she ain't got no shoes? My mom got OCD. Why she ain't got no shoes on, right? So she's not speaking to me. And at this point, I'm getting a little agitated and I want to be let down. So she puts me down and she's not speaking to me. She's not looking at me at all until she all of a sudden looks up and gazes up into the sky. So little me looks at her and sees her doing this. So I gaze up and I'm looking at the sky too. And out of nowhere, there's a helicopter that comes. And I was like, whoa, like what's going on? Like, where did this helicopter come from and why is it getting closer to the ground? So the helicopter, believe it or not, lands in our fucking driveway, right? And in the helicopter, there was the pilot and my dad for whatever reason. And I'm like, what he doing in the helicopter? He ain't got no job to be rolling around in no fucking helicopter, right? So as he's getting out of the helicopter, my dad doesn't say a word to me either. Doesn't look at me. Nobody's looking at me. Nobody's talking to me. And I thought that was odd because my parents don't do that. So I remember my dad just walking into the house without saying a word to my mom or me or anybody. And I had to ask my mom, I'm like, did this happen? Was this real? So my mom tells me, she was like, yeah, that happened. And I'm like, oh, what's the tea on that? I'm like, a helicopter literally landed in our driveway for what? And my mom said that earlier that day, I had passed out, just out of the blue, just dropped to the ground, passed out. And I guess we were a little far from the emergency room, so they had to literally call the ambulance, and they sent out a fucking helicopter to take me to a different hospital, right? And my mom, as she was saying this, I did get another memory remembering me being inside the helicopter. I remember looking kind of out and seeing the city a little bit, but I was so dazed, it's very hazy, and I thought it was genuinely a dream. So I told my mom, and I was like, so what was the part on you guys not talking to me, not looking at me, not doing anything, like just that weird, eerie feeling? And my mom said at that point when the helicopter came, I was already passed out. I was on the fucking floor. Like, I was passed out. And my mom had me in her arms, like rushing into the helicopter to get me into the helicopter. And so I was like, so why do I remember